Most people think Batman is dangerous because he trains harder than everyone else. More hours, more pain, more extremes, and on the surface, that explanation makes sense. It's the version you see in montages, the version that looks good on screen, but that's not the real reason. Batman isn't dangerous because he trains more. He's dangerous because his training was designed for reality, not fantasy. He doesn't train to look strong in the mirror. He trains so that when everything starts going wrong, physically, mentally, emotionally, he doesn't shut down. And that difference matters, especially if you feel lost right now. Because feeling lost usually isn't about lacking information. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that your mind feels scattered, your energy feels unstable, and nothing you start seems to last. You try routines, habits, plans, but they all collapse the moment life gets heavy. Batman's training was never about becoming superhuman. It was about becoming functional in the chaos, and that's something normal people can actually learn from. Look at how most people approach training their body and mind today. They work out when they feel motivated. They focus when life is calm. They journal, meditate, or improve themselves only when they have space, clarity, and are in a good emotional state. In other words, they only train when conditions are perfect. That's the problem, because life doesn't test you when things are calm. It tests you when you're tired, distracted, emotionally drained, and under pressure. And if your system only works when you feel good, it won't survive those moments. Batman never assumes that the conditions will work in his favor. Gotham is loud, violent, unpredictable, and dangerous. There is no perfect schedule, no ideal environment, no peaceful baseline. So Batman's training isn't built to optimize performance on a good day. It's built to prevent collapse on a bad one. Most people train to improve. Batman trains to remain operational. That's a huge difference. If your training can't survive stress, fatigue, and chaos, it's not really training. It's just for looking good in the mirror. If that is what you're after, then Batman's training is probably not for you. Principle 1. Batman trains his body for use, not aesthetics. Batman's physical training is often misunderstood, mostly because people look at the result instead of the function. They see the physique and assume the goal was size, symmetry, or looking intimidating, but that was never the point. Batman doesn't train to look impressive. He trains to be useful. In the lore, his body is treated like equipment, something that has to work under bad conditions for long periods of time without breaking down. That's why his training is built around movement, durability, and control, not just raw strength or visible muscle. His strength has to transfer. It's not about how much he can lift in a controlled environment. It's about whether that strength still shows up when he's tired, injured, or operating in awkward positions. His endurance isn't about running until exhaustion. It's about staying sharp and coordinated when his body wants to quit. And his mobility isn't an accessory. It's survival. Tight, fragile bodies don't last long in Gotham. Think about what he actually does. He climbs buildings. He hangs from ledges. He carries his own body weight constantly. He absorbs impact. He fights in tight spaces. He recovers quickly because the next night always comes. That's why his training looks broad instead of specialized. Strength, conditioning, agility, coordination, recovery, all trained together, not a single obsession or worship of one metric. His body isn't optimized for one specific lift, sport, or aesthetic goal. It's optimized for adaptability, and that's the lesson most people miss. Most people train to lift heavy weights but can't move well. They do cardio but lack strength. Batman avoids this by treating fitness as a functional tool, not appearance. Training your body the Batman way means asking a different question. Not, how do I look, but what can my body handle? Can you move through your day without feeling stiff or broken? Can you carry yourself through long hours without your energy collapsing? Can you stay coordinated and calm when you're physically tired? That's real fitness. This doesn't mean you need extreme workouts or superhero routines. It means moving your body in different ways. Pushing, pulling, carrying, stabilizing. Building strength that supports your posture and your confidence. Building endurance that helps you think clearly when you're tired. Building mobility so your body doesn't feel like a cage. Batman's body isn't extreme, it's functional. And being able to do a lot of things with your body builds a lot of confidence because you trust your body to work when you need it the most. Principle 2. Batman trains trains control, not just strength. This is where most Batman content completely misses the point. Batman isn't impressive because he's strong. Plenty of characters are strong. What makes Batman different is how calm he is under threat. That tells you exactly what he's really training: his nervous system. In the lore, Bruce Wayne deliberately exposes himself to fear, discomfort, isolation, and uncertainty. Heights, darkness, pain, silence. Not to eliminate fear, but to remove panic. Fear doesn't disappear, but panic does. Panic is what makes people freeze, overreact, or shut down. Batman's real advantage is that his body stays regulated even when the situation is intense. Most people avoid discomfort. Batman uses controlled discomfort as training. For normal people, this doesn't mean extreme suffering. It means practicing staying present when your body wants to escape. Cold exposure for short periods. Sitting with boredom without reaching for your phone. Continuing a task even when your mind is restless and uncomfortable. These are small, controlled ways of teaching your nervous system that discomfort isn't danger. Batman didn't become fearless. He became stable, and stability is far more useful than confidence. Principle 3. Batman isolates action from emotion. One of the most important psychological shifts Batman makes is separating how he feels from how he acts. Bruce Wayne has emotions, Batman has rules. When the cowl goes on, Bruce's personal feelings stop mattering. The mission doesn't care if he feels tired, angry, or uncertain. The system runs anyway. Most people rely on internal states to decide what they do. If they feel motivated, they act. If they don't, they wait. Batman doesn't wait. This is why motivation is such a weak foundation. Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes. Systems are permanent. You can apply this by creating simple, non-negotiable rules around your training. You don't have to make dramatic promises, just standards. When this time arrives, you act. No negotiation, no debate, no emotional check-in. Rules remove friction, feelings create it. Batman doesn't succeed because he feels disciplined, but because discipline is automated. Principle 4. Batman trains skills under imperfect conditions. Another thing people get wrong is chasing exhaustion instead of competence. Batman doesn't train randomly. He trains deliberately. Combat skills, detective work, tactical thinking, environmental awareness. And he trains them under imperfect conditions. He practices while tired, while injured, while mentally taxed. Because Gotham won't give him a clean environment, most people train skills in isolation, then wonder why they can't apply them in real life. A better approach is choosing fewer skills and training them deeply under slightly uncomfortable conditions. One physical skill, one mental skill for a defined period of time. Not by stacking endless habits, but by actually committing. This builds confidence that transfers to real life. Batman doesn't train to look competent in practice. He trains to be competent when it matters. Principle 5. Batman uses identity as an anchor. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of Batman's psychology. Batman isn't just a man, he's a symbol, and symbols don't negotiate. Bruce Wayne is emotional, conflicted, and human. Batman is a standard, a set of rules, a code. When Bruce puts on the cowl, he's no longer asking what he wants to do. He's asking what the symbol requires. That's why identity matters more than goals. Goals are optional, identity is not. Batman doesn't rely on motivation because motivation fluctuates. He relies on who he is when things get hard. The symbol exists specifically to override weakness. For normal people, this doesn't mean creating a fantasy alter ego. It means defining a small identity you live up to regardless of mood. Someone who doesn't disappear when things get uncomfortable. Someone who keeps going instead of spiraling. Someone who shows up consistently even when it's uncomfortable. When identity leads, discipline follows automatically. Batman doesn't ask, "What do I feel like doing?" He asks, "What would Batman do?" That question removes uncertainty. Principle 6. Batman trains for failure states. Batman assumes something will go wrong. Every mission, every time. This is why he's obsessed with contingencies. Not because he thinks he's invincible, but because he knows he isn't. He expects mistakes, he expects injuries, he expects fear and hesitation. Most people build routines for their best version, the version that wakes up motivated, focused, and confident. Batman builds systems for his worst version. That's the shift most people never make. If you're honest, you already know which version of you usually fails. It's the tired version, the distracted version, the version that starts negotiating with itself. That's the version your training needs to work for. Batman doesn't rely on willpower, he relies on structure. And the foundation of that structure is a failure-proof floor, a minimum standard that gets done no matter what. Not something impressive, something boring, something almost too easy, but something that keeps his identity intact. Because once the chain breaks completely, spirals begin. Batman never lets the chain fully break. For normal people, this might look like a short walk instead of a full workout, a few push-ups instead of skipping entirely, writing a single paragraph instead of abandoning the habit. This isn't about lowering standards forever, but about keeping the momentum. Batman's training isn't about being extreme, it's about being prepared. Prepared for bad days, prepared for fear, prepared for chaos. If you feel lost right now, that's not a weakness. That's the moment where real training actually begins. Not when life is smooth, but when you need something solid underneath you. Build systems, train your control, and move quietly. I'll see you in the next video.